Why is orientation this way? And can I fix that? I didn't want to go live with the phone this way. Let me see here now. I might have to do this another way. What's this? Oh, no. Oh. Hey. Are you seeing me this way, or is it like, which way are you seeing me? I'm trying to figure out how to go to make to turn landscape. Is it upright on your screen, or are you seeing the two black boxes to the side? Tell me if you, tell me which way you're seeing it, because last time I did it on the computer, so now I'm trying to figure out how to do it on the phone. I don't know if I like it on the phone thing, but we'll work with it because I can't bother get up and go for the computer right now. I see there are 2 people live. Hi, welcome to the live. I am going to talk about my trip to Mexico City and Querétaro. No, you have to type it in the chat, Jamaican Gypsy Granny. Of course. I'm gonna talk about my trip to Mexico City and Querétaro and why I came back to Merida, which one I like best, and all of that. So it's like TikTok, right? I don't know if I like going live on my phone. Last time I went live on my computer, and so I got the right ratio so that people who watch the replay would get the right aspect. Now I'm doing it from my phone. I'm outside. So I know that when people watch it back, it's gonna have the 2 black box them on the side, and I really like the part there. So next time, at least I know now. So next time we'll continue to go live from the computer. Anyway, welcome guys to today's live. I see more people are coming in. Please say hi if you are coming to. Sorry, I'm gonna try to make sure so I at least look cute. If you are in Mexico, let me know. If you have questions about Merida, Mexico, let me know. Until y'all drop the questions and the comments in the chat, I'm just gonna start. So where should we begin? Thank you all, first of all, for the love on the last video. I thought I was gonna get a lot of pushback because I spoke about this already on Twitter, and people nyam me up. They were like chewing away, nipping at my heels. So I got a lot of love on YouTube this time around, so thank you. I am very grateful for that. Hey, Black Women Build Wealth, I'm so happy to see you here. I'm glad to see you are surviving all the recent changes. I know that, listen to me, whew, it has been a lot. Like I saw a meme that said something about 2023 asking, but did you die? And I am like, is it a collective thing? Because I feel like this year has been one of the most challenging years of my life, and sometimes I feel a way to say that because, you know, I have a lot to be grateful for this year, but it still was very challenging. Like, allow me to kind of say that, you know, there were a lot of wonderful things that happened and some very unwonderful things as well. So 2023 for me has definitely been a challenge, but I feel like now is the real start of my travel journey here in Merida, because the year that went had a lot of challenges, as I said. Yeah, I know the patient thing was challenging. That's exactly what the year was. So let's recap and go back to why I even took that Mexico City trip, having, you know, all of those challenges that were happening in my life. Mexico City actually came around thanks to my friend Tremise. She has a channel as well, and I talk about her. You see her in a lot of the very recent clips. both of us are born in November, so that trip was actually like a birthday trip. We were both supposed to go, we were all supposed to go to Holbox, which is a small island. You might know Cozumel and Isla Mujeres. Those are small islands close to Cancun, that side. Holbox is another one. So we were supposed to go to Holbox to do like a joint birthday trip thing. That was what all of this was supposed to be about. And then when we looked at the prices for Holbox, they were astronomical. I don't know if that's just regular Holbox prices or because it was, you know, my birthday falls around Thanksgiving, and you know, people from up north are coming down to the warmer areas for the holidays, so the prices, it might be all of that. So she was like, it's cheaper for us to just go to Mexico City for a whole week instead of doing just a weekend in Holbox, which is what we were planning for. So even before I decided to move and all of that, this was just supposed to be a birthday trip for me, her, and our two girls, because she has a teenager as well. So I was like, sure, I'll go to Mexico City. And then I looked at the dates and I realized that it was going to coincide with Day of the Dead. And so I've never been to Mexico City. I'm like, do I really want to go to Mexico City for Day of the Dead? My first trip there, because I was a little intimidated. I was a little bit like, I would love to go to Mexico City to check it out. Do I want to go when there are going to be massive hordes of crowds just like bombarding on the city? I had two minds about it, but I was like, yes. So I told her yes, even before I had started to say, we've got to move, we've got to give up the house, all of that. So that was set. And then you guys know, or if you watched the last video, you know that from April of this year, I lost my main source of income. So we've just been juggling it around. And the string was about to pop. And so I was like, all right, I don't think we can stay in the house that we are in for much longer. We've got to give up this big rent, guys. And so I kind of made a decision to disband, and everybody kind of go them separate ways. And mom said, yeah, I want to go back to Jamaica. I'm actually looking forward to that. I made arrangements for my father, and then I was actually going to go back to Jamaica too. I started making preparations. I was looking, because my thing was, we need a job. Like, it's, you know, you watch many videos here on moving to Merida, and they tell you, do not come here without a plan and a work. Like, you need a job. You need to have your finances already figured out when you're here. And I did have savings, and I did have all of these little side income and hustles going on. So I was cool. But then the 6 months ran its course, and I was like, okay, it's October now. What are we gonna do? So I was like, the logical choice is to go back home and get a job. And so I was preparing to do that. I was really and truly preparing to move back to Jamaica myself and take my daughter with me and put her back in school. We started to talk about schools that she wanted to go to, because she didn't want to go back to the school that she was going to when we left. So all of that. And then she was heartbroken. She actually started crying, and I told her we're going back to Jamaica. She loves Merida that much. She has connected with friends here. She has a whole social life going on, even more so than mine. So she was heartbroken, and I was of two minds, because I do love my country. Now, let it not be said that I left Jamaica for any reasons other than I just wanted to start traveling. I wasn't running away from anything. And I do expect that at some point I will go back and live and retire in Jamaica, unless like I really fall in love and make Merida home. I do expect that someday, at some point, I might go back to Jamaica to live. So I was cool with it, but she was heartbroken. And then my friend, same for me, started getting into my ear like, but Mo, you haven't really done Merida yet. We have all these trips planned together, and Mexico City was just the first one. You know, we started some small trips. We went to Sisal, we went to Celestune. We started going out to the beach, and because she's been here just since January of this year, and she was like, well, you know, she's been here long enough and she hasn't done much. She wanted to also start exploring Merida, and even outside of Merida, exploring Mexico a lot more. We have trips to Guadalajara planned, and we want to go on the tequila train and all of that. So she was like, are you sure it's time to go back to Jamaica? And I was like, yeah, but I want to stay and explore, but I have no income coming in right now. I mean, I'm a blogger, I'm a freelancer, so I have all these little side incomes, but you need the main income that pays the bills. And so I was like, girl, I don't think I can stay. And she was like, you'll figure it out. Let's just go to Mexico City and figure it out. And so I already had the Mexico City thing planned. I was like, sure, fine. Girl, don't I know it? Own your truth. Diamonds are built from pressure. Diamonds are built from pressure. So that's exactly what I did. I packed up the house, and even through the process of packing up the house, I was like, I just did this last year. I don't want to ever do it again. Like, me tired for give away and sell things and move house. Next time I set up home, it will be at least for 5 years. I'm so done. So pack up the house and say, all right, we're gonna go to Mexico City, but I'm not giving away every single thing, because at this point I don't know what I'm going back to Jamaica. I'm staying, I don't know what I'm doing. So I asked some friends of mine to put some things in storage for me just in case I decide to come back and start over here in Merida. So we go to Mexico City and we're having a blast. It's time for us to leave Mexico City. I still don't know what my next step is. So I'm looking back at flights to come back to Merida. So, because I'm saying, you know, Jamaica, me, I can always take up my things and go back home. I'm looking at flights to go to Jamaica, and not even that is looking possible, because I'm saying, with the money that I have left, if I go back to Merida, I don't know Omega reach Jamaica. It's one or the other. So I was like, all right, here what Omega do. We're gonna get on a bus instead of a flight and go to the next city and figure it out from there. So I looked at bus tickets to Querétaro, Guadalajara, San Miguel, Allende, some other places, and I was like, Querétaro looks nice because I could afford the bus tickets and the Airbnbs, and I'm still doing my little hustles and things are still coming in, but not no rent Merida money, you know. I could Airbnb to Airbnb to Airbnb. So that's what we did, and then that's how Querétaro became my first foray into, let me see if I even want to go back to Merida, because I've heard wonderful things about Querétaro, and I was like, maybe I'll go there and fall in love with it and decide to stay there. Because let me tell you something, when I was in Querétaro, I realized how much cheaper the rent is. I don't know if anything else is a lot cheaper. Like, the Ubers are not cheaper because the city is spread out a little bit further and there are more people who live there. So the traffic is bad. So the Uber thing is expensive there. But houses are cheaper and they don't ask you for 3 damn deposits like they do in Merida. So I really and truly, I started looking for houses. I was showing them to my daughter. I was like, look at these houses. But red flag for me was really and truly when I started to look, because everywhere we went, I started looking on Facebook for groups of Black people. So I found the Brothers and Sisters of Merida group, and I found another like Blacks in Mexico City or something like that it named, because you know, when you move from city to city, you start to want to build community, you start to want to see where people are going, and you want to see where your people are going, so that you know where you're going is a fun place and they vetted the food and all of that. So I started to look for Blacks in Querétaro. Couldn't find anything. I was like, and I watched videos of Black people who live in Querétaro, so I know they're there, but they are clearly not organizing. So I was like, okay. So we go to Querétaro and we're out on the malls and everything, and me and my daughter have this thing now where she will go, oh, look, Black person, oh, look, Black person. And we did that a lot in Mexico City. We realized that the Black people that are in Mexico City aren't even friendly anymore, because there are just so many of us there. It's just like, oh, another Black person. In Querétaro, I can count on one hand how many Black person we saw in the entire 2 weeks that we were there. So I was just like, okay. And it's not that I need to go somewhere where expats are, but as you know, your brain gets tired, you want to have a reprieve every now and then. And so every now and then I do go to like the R&B parties or the spades games parties that people plan here in Merida. You want to find it's easier to find community with people who've been there longer, and so they have Mexican friends, and it's easier to just integrate like that. I didn't want to have to go to Querétaro and start from scratch. So the weather was also another thing. I really started to think, if I'm staying in Querétaro, I have to get used to the fact that the place is very, very cold occasionally. I don't know what it's like in the summer. I would love to go back in the summer when Merida is balls deep in heat and actually get a reprieve from the heat and go check out Querétaro. But as we went through day after day, I realized that I would have to come and build everything that I had already built in Merida, and I didn't want to do that because why? Like, why? I love the life that we had started to set up here in Merida. And I was like, I don't want to do that all over again. I obviously did very good research when I landed in Merida, and it felt so much like home. I was like, this is home. And I will still continue to travel around Mexico. but I don't think I want to live anywhere at this point in time. Merida is where we have already started to set up our network. I know where everything is. I have my favorite grocery stores and my favorite taquerias and all of that. My soul was already exhausted from all the other changes that were really and truly happening. I didn't want to set up all of that again and get to learn a new city again in Querétaro. So I was like, okay, well, we can continue and do the nomad thing because that was also a plan. So let's bus to the other city. Now I found another creator here on YouTube and she was in Puerto Vallarta and I was watching her videos and it looked nice and it was by the beach. I was like, I owe it to myself. I'm near enough. We can take I think it would have been a flight, but the flights here within Mexico are so cheap. I was like, I can go and check out Puerto Vallarta. Even that didn't excite me. Like not even that. Hi, Lara. Not even that excited me. And I was like, yeah, it's time to go back to Merida. And if I land in Merida and nothing works out, then at least I'm close enough to where the flights to get home are cheaper. Because let me tell you something, I checked out flights from Mexico City to Miami and they were like $300 and something. And I was like, what? Why? I thought the tickets would have been cheaper from Mexico City being a bigger travel hub to go to Miami, and then from Miami it's easy for me to get back to Jamaica. The tickets were so expensive, so I was like, no. I'm gonna go back to Merida where flights from Cancun to Kingston are dirt cheap. Like if you want to party and vacation in Jamaica, book tickets from Cancun, the tickets are super cheap. So anyway, so I looked up what the flights were from Querétaro to Merida, and the flights were even cheaper than going from Mexico City to Merida. And I was like, see there, the universe is telling me to go back to Merida because how are the flights cheaper from Querétaro to go to Merida? So that's what I did, and I booked a flight and I said, we are going back home. My daughter was so excited. Like she was so excited, and I was like, all right, I hear you. I'm going to go off of your vibe right now. You want to go back to Merida, and I tell you something, when we landed here in Merida, it just felt like home. I was like, I'm home. And it's so funny to me as someone who's a diehard Jamaican who loves Jamaica, how I found home somewhere else. So we came back to Merida and I booked an Airbnb for 4 nights. That's all I could do. And I started messaging all my friends like, I need somewhere to stay. How this saga go help me out? And that's where my mom came in clutch. Let me tell you, she got to come back to Merida at some point in time because her network is so much even deeper than mine. She was the one who had a friend who does the whole rooming thing, and she was like, well, link so and so and you can stay with her. And I link her and the price was right, and I was like, boom, there it is. And so now that is how we are actually here. I fell in love with Merida too on my first trip last year, coming back for Christmas, New Year. Definitely my dream destination for snowbird. Yes, I could definitely see that too, like me doing 6 months solid here in Merida when it's not devil's balls heat. I could see myself doing that, and then for the next 6 months of the year, like traveling. Like that's my true travel season. When it's really hot here, I take off to somewhere else. But Merida, and then I am looking forward to the Christmas here again. I was here last year. It is just a magical time to be in Merida, and I'm looking forward to it myself. So that's the story of, why I left Merida. It really wasn't and truly me packing up and leaving and saying, I'm done with Merida, I'm going to find somewhere to live. It was just a birthday trip that we had planned. And I was like, well, let's just go and figure it out, because I was practically homeless. Like if you look up the definition of homeless, that's what I was. Like I had to give up the house. I didn't have nowhere to go. The trip was booked. The hotel, the Airbnb was already booked in Mexico City. I was like, all right, let us pack up our stuff and go to Mexico City, and we'll figure out the next step from there. So that's pretty much what we have been doing. And I'm still doing my freelance work, and you know how it goes when sometimes they say you can't see the next 5 steps, but you can see the next step and the next step and the next step. I just keep taking the next step. I just keep taking the very next step. And as soon as I take that one next step, then the other step reveals itself to me. And that's pretty much how I've been living these past couple of months. That's it. So yeah. Now is the time that you can ask me any questions you may have. I did have someone ask me, so I put up the sticker too late on Instagram. So I am going to try and do these lives more often. I don't know if weekly is, I don't know if y'all want me to be on live weekly, but someone did ask me a whole host of questions, and now I'm on my phone and my laptop is over there, so I can't even answer all of them. But I know one of the questions were what were the requirements to rent here in Merida, and so that's why I do actually have a fundraiser going, is to try and although I do love this lovely home that we are in, we are here for 1 month, and I would love to be able to go into our own space after that. But Merida needs 3 deposits plus a contract fee in order for you to rent a home here as a foreigner. So you have not 3 deposits. You have your first month's rent as usual, and then you have a deposit. That's normally all most people would need to rent a place. But as a foreigner, they ask for 2 months deposit, so that's 3 months rent up front, and then they ask for a contract fee, notary fee, lawyer fee, whatever you want to call it. That can be as high as 1 month's rent as well. Now, because I've been here long enough, I've started to negotiate that, because I realized that I'm gonna try get as much out of you as a foreigner, but the contract fee should not be that high. So if I rent somewhere for like 10,000 pesos, the contract fee should be 5,000 pesos. It doesn't have to be 10,000 as well. So that can be as high as another month's rent. So that's why I'm saying sometimes when you're renting here for the first time, it can be as high as 4 months rent up front that you have to shell out. And then of course, after that, you have to pay to put on your services, your internet, your, what else you're probably going to need up front. I think you're into, because they will all obviously have light and water already running in the place. I had to pay for gas, I remember that. I had to pay to fill the gas tank in one of the apartments that we rented one time, and that came up to 3,000 pesos, which was about 150 US dollars at the time, and it was not something I budgeted for to immediately do after I just did shell out 4 months rent. So you need additional money to pay for all of that stuff. And then of course you have all the regular moving expenses. If you need to hire a truck to get anything, you're going to have to buy, even if you rent a completely furnished place, you're going to probably have to buy your linens, your towels, your plates, your pots, your pans, those kind of things. So it is expensive, and that's why I said the next time I move into a place, I'm not moving out until at least 5 years. Like, give me some roots, please. I'll be checking all my expat groups for activities and fun things to do, hoping to meet some of you this time, a couple of family members meeting me there. Yes, so one of the first things that I always do whenever I'm going to a place is look for groups of people like me. So that might be moms. I definitely tend to look for mom groups. I look for black people, so black people in or black expats in, that's a big one. So even if you're going to Dom Rep and you're only going for a week, I would still sometimes look for black expats in Dom Rep, because I want to see what restaurants they recommend. They have been living there a while and they have tastes that would be similar to mine. I want to see what they recommend, what clubs, what grocery stores, everything. Hi, I am a minor, 17. Hi, how are you? Welcome, nice to see you. You're a smart and a planner. I don't know you, but I'm feeling you're going to get back on track soon. I believe it too. I do go off vibes, and for a couple weeks there when we just started, I was like, this is absolute madness. I shouldn't even be here in Mexico City. I should be saving every single dollar I have to go home and rent somewhere there and start all over again. And so I was very stressed. I was like, this doesn't make sense. We need to go on my yard. But, I just went with it, went with the flow. And I think everything is working out well. And now it is definitely a case where I'm feeling much better. Like, I do feel like I'm home and things will work out. I have been applying to quite a few freelance gigs recently. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to get something regular soon again, so I'm not worried this time at all. And our expenses right now, because as I said, I have all these other smaller side hustles that come in sporadically, my expenses right now are under those. So I know that where we are now and what I'm doing now, I'm covered. I just need to be able to get back a regular full-time gig so that I can take on big woman rent and all of those things again. How old am I? I'm a big woman, big woman. I have me a teenager myself, so you can do some math from there. Who else has questions about living in Mexico or in Merida. Let me see what other questions people always ask me. Someone sent me something recently that, you know, I am staying out here in Cholula, and there have been some water issues with the pig farms out here. So there are some things that you don't know to check for, or you don't know to research. And so that's another reason why it's probably a good idea when you are going to visit a place, even for a short while, to look up groups of people like you. Like, you could probably look up retirees, you could look up the expats, definitely, because you want to be in those groups to see what they're discussing, what are the issues around that time. I definitely know that if you're going to Panama, for instance, you want to figure out how is the situation there with all the political rallies and protests and everything that's happening. That's what I would do, is join a group, see what the discussions are like, see if it's safe to go, those kind of things. That is how I settled on Merida, actually. I was in the groups, and I saw that there were a lot of moms with teenagers, and they were getting their kids together, and I was like, okay, it looks like my teenager will like it here too, she'll be happy, things like that. So yes, you're gonna turn 18 in 5 hours. Happy birthday when it comes. You can finally have children. Like, someone get this child off the live. Anybody else have questions? Anybody else? Thank you to, I need to have a ticker like for the fundraiser. A couple more people contributed today. If you would like to contribute as well, it is in the description box of all my newest videos, and I'm going to leave it in the replay of the live as well. It's at buymeacoffee.com/Monique, which is my name. Thank you again to all the people who have chipped in so far. Are you hearing anything about the Maya train? Yes, so the Maya train has its inaugural run December 16th, and right now they're only doing, I guess, like touristy kind of runs, so the prices are sky high. When will it start to be just a regular commuter train? I have no idea. Everybody's ears is peeled to the ground, because that is going to be the most economical way to get to Cancun and back, especially if you're flying into Cancun. So everybody's like, all right, enough with the high priced runs. When are you going to do the regular routes? So we're all waiting for that. Does the cost of electricity differ in certain areas? Absolutely. And that is something that you want to make sure you look for when you are coming to Merida to rent. You want to make sure that you ask people, or you search in the groups first, what is electricity bill like where you live? Because I have definitely found that when you're outside of the peripheral, in some of the smaller towns, villages, whatever you want to call them, the electricity is much cheaper. They have this cap as well, that if you go over the cap each month, then you are charged higher for those electricity rates. So you want to stay within that cap so that you're not charged that excessive fee. And then there are some places within the peripheral, in the city center itself, where the light bill them just high. So where I was in Las Americas, it was, I think, pretty average. Or a light bill used to come to like maybe $100 for 2 months, and I use my AC a lot. So yeah, we're coming into Cancun. The train may not be an option to Merida. Is ADO the next best thing? Yes, it is. I take the ADO all the time. I have never flown out of Merida for international flights. I've used the Merida airport only for that domestic flight to Mexico City and back. So I always fly out of Cancun and then take the ADO in. What you want to do is to look on the ADO schedule and make sure your flight coincides with where you might want to be. Because I've always been staying in the north of the city, so I tend to want to try and catch the one that's going to Alta Brisa, which is in the north, but that bus runs, it doesn't run all the time. If you can go to the downtown ADO station, but that is going to be, it's gonna be expensive, an expensive Uber ride to come in, and you're hot and tired and miserable from a day of travel, and then a time of being on the ADO bus, and then to go take a Uber. I would want to cut down on that if I can. Do you have any information on private school costs? Yes. So My daughter, I want to get her into schooling here in September next year. That's our deal. And the prices that I'm seeing so far are around between 400 and 600 USD per month. So it's not I don't know if that's cheap or average, or I don't know what that is like coming from the US. It's not cheap for me, and so that's why we're looking for September next year, because that's just astronomical to me, but I think worth it based on what I've heard other parents say. There's one right here in Cholula that a lot of the expats love, and I have toured that one with my daughter. She kind of liked it, but she has her heart set on another school, so I'm gonna try for that one next year. And that one, the fee is $600 US per month. It's not cheap, but it is good for kids who do not have a strong grasp of Spanish. They have like a half English, half Spanish arrangement until you pick up the language and you're comfortable. Let me see if I missed any other questions here. Is it okay to take the local bus to move around? Yes. So the Uber prices have been getting astronomical here. The Uber them are cheap. It might be where I am, because of late I have definitely been outside of the peripheral more than I have been within the city limits. And so once you cross that line, the Uber fees are like 100 pesos or more, which is like, it sounds a way to say it because it's really only like maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 US dollars. But when you're coming from being used to spending $1, $2, then 5 and 6 starts to get very expensive. So I do have a bus card. They have some lovely blue buses here that are air conditioned. They're called the Va Even, which I think means go and come or something like that. And it's only 12 pesos per ride. So those buses will get you, listen to me, those buses, when we came out of the Merida airport from Querétaro, we went outside. I was going outside to negotiate with a taxi, and the bus was right there. Like, they have a route, those Va Even buses, they have a route that go from the airport to downtown. We just darted on the bus. We darted right on the bus. He charged me because I didn't have any money on my bus card at the time. He took cash, 45 pesos, which is, I don't know, about $2.50, about $3. Yeah. So the buses are very comfortable and they're very convenient because they will get you anywhere around the city, and then it cuts down on your Uber fee usage, your Uber usage for sure. Anyways, any more questions? I'm outside and it's getting dark, so and we have been on for about half an hour now, which I think is a comfortable time. I am going to jump off soon unless somebody else has questions. The delegate, did you want information about private school for high school or like a tiny tot? Let me know, because that information might be different. For high school, there are a number of options. There are the private schools. There are 2 expats that I know who have set up like school, like homeschool type situations where they have teachers come in and help the kids, but it's still homeschooling, just in like a homeschool pod, I guess you would call it. He's 6, so yeah. Actually, if I had a 6-year-old, I would probably put him in a Mexican school so that he can grasp the language, because at that age it's pretty easy for him to just jump on to the language. If you want to go private, there are some very good private schools for that age, but again, there are lots of like homeschool type pods and expats who've come and set up schools here if you want. So whatever you want, there are a bunch of different options, and there are a whole bunch of school in Merida Facebook groups, so they would have more information for you. Just dive into the groups and ask around, and you'll get tons and tons of comments. It's definitely very dark out here now, guys, so I'm going to jump off. Thank you guys so much for joining me live and watching. Let me know if Tuesdays, because the last live was on a Sunday morning, let me know if Tuesday evenings or an evening weekday works better for you guys, and we will keep this going as much as possible. I do get a lot of questions in my YouTube comments, so I might go weekly just so that I can answer those questions for you guys. That might help. But thank you. Hi, Jesus, Mexico. Viva la Mexico. Did I say that right? I'm gonna jump off now. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Bye bye.